Vice President Kamala Harris has agreed to her first interview since becoming the Democratic presidential nominee almost 40 days ago. And does her team trust her to do the interview all by herself? No, they don't. She has to be accompanied by Vice President nominee Tim Walz. And will it be a hard-hitting interview by CNN's Dana Bash?
This is the kind of thing that is playing out all over conservative media. I just want to do a little bit of record correcting. Harris was put in charge, as you said earlier, of combating the roots of immigration. She was not and is not the border.
I've seen a lot of statements from veterans, including those you served with, saying it's just untoward to be criticizing somebody who served for 24 years.
It's no wonder she secured the interview. Brittany, what are you expecting from this?
So look, I was a TV journalist for 18 years for mainstream media, for CBS News in Los Angeles, for well over a decade. And I can tell you this now, after covering the BLM riots here in America and then COVID, what I'm seeing now is less journalism and more activism by these journalists that we're seeing on mainstream media. And it has become so blatantly biased that it is unfair to the American people. And I've said this repeatedly, but the biggest threat in America right now is the West, the liberal media, the mainstream media. And this is going to be hugely problematic. I don't trust her interview. I question whether the questions will be given to her prior. I'm confused as to why he's going to be there with her. Here we have this strong, independent woman running for president, and yet you have to have a man sitting next to you while answering the questions. We know that Kamala Harris isn't that great off the cuff. Everything has to kind of teleprompter scripted. And so, I mean, this will be an interesting interview, but I am very tempted to say that this is going to be very structured and planned, and she's going to know the answers because she can't really ad lib.
Yeah, and it's not going to be done live, so that's an advantage for her. But as you say, I don't know why she can't do it by herself. Look, we did this last week, but there are just more and more Kamala Harris supporters every day being caught out that they actually have no idea why they like her.
What is Harris's biggest accomplishment to date as vice president?
I don't know. I don't feel comfortable doing this anymore.
She was a very good vice president.
That's an interesting question. Getting to vice president.
I have to do more research on her, honestly. I'm just glad to see a woman of color in charge for once. That's it.
I haven't followed her political career that closely.
That's a good one. I don't know.
Brittany, you can't really blame them. To your point about the left-wing media, how it's been so dangerous in the role that it plays. And look, I can't really think of one reason why I like Kamala Harris either. What are your thoughts listening to that?
I mean, I can't help but laugh. It's comical, right? It's the epitome of so many people in our country right now in America, given the politics. And those people who were being interviewed, they're not young. I mean, they should fully know what's going on in the political climate, given that we're 69, 68 days away from our election. So, you know, I'm not surprised though, unfortunately. And, you know, again, I think with social media and the way people are getting their news nowadays, they're just really reading the headlines and they're not really reading the actual stories, just like how Kamala is spewing her policies, but yet we're not really understanding, well, how are you going to implement those policies? So the American people are just hearing the nuts and bolts, the headlines of, and how mainstream media is really making her look so perfect and great. So yeah, I'm not too surprised by some of these answers, but it's frightening to think that they're just going to be blindly voting for someone that they can't even say, what is she known for? What has she done for our country as a vice president? Again, all of these things that she's saying she's going to do. Well, let me just tell you, in the last 16 years, for 12 of those years, a Democrat's been in our White House. So we haven't seen a lot of change. I mean, we need change. Yeah. The fact that people keep saying, oh, she's going to create all this change. Well, why didn't they the last 4 years? And why haven't they years prior? So I don't know. It's it's frightening to see so many people be so ignorant about this.
It's the most frustrating message that I keep hearing here in Australia, seeing it online. Vote for Kamala Harris for change, as if she isn't already the vice president. And as we know, Kamala has just been riding the waves of vibes, and she hasn't really been clear on policy. In fact, she's been flip-flopping. It's been revealed, according to Axios reports, that Kamala Harris will spend hundreds of millions of dollars on the border wall along the southern border, something that she's previously opposed and even criticised Donald Trump for, calling it un-American.
He has held up the United States government and its workers around his vanity project called a wall.
We cannot continue to have an administration and a president of the United States who puts his vanity projects ahead of the needs of the people of our country. This administration has decided to vilify them and to trade on them for the sake of this president's medieval vanity project called a wall.
Brittany, is this her style, just to gaslight Americans and then steal Trump's policies?
So I don't think it's just her style. I think it's the Democrat Party. And I think that this is very planned out, and they're doing this on purpose to try and get the independent voters to make her look like she's more of a moderate. But we know that she is as far left as you can possibly go. But I think that they are, sure, let's use the word gaslighting. They are trying to convince otherwise, but we know that this is not the case. We have it on record, what you just showed. So she's backtracking. She's saying things that I don't know. It's very confusing. And I'm shocked that the American people, that the race is this close.
Yeah, let's take a look at the Trump campaign. He's released a new ad taking aim at Kamala Harris, pointing out what should be obvious to most Americans, that the cost of living crisis that Americans are experiencing right now is a result of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's leadership.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
Everyday prices are too high. Food, rent, gas, back to school clothes. That is called Bidenomics. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today. Ground beef is up almost 50%. There's not much left at the end of the month. Bidenomics is working. The price of housing has gone up. It feels so hard to just be able to get ahead. And we are very proud of Bidenomics.
What do you make of the ad, Brittany? Do you think it's going to cut through?
I hope so. I mean, it's very true. Bidenomics is obviously not working. Look, here's what I think. I think that those who are going to be voting for Kamala, we're not going to be able to change their minds. Those who are going to be voting for, we're not going to be changing their minds. Right now, it comes down to some key states here in America, who wins what, and the independent voters, the ones that are still undecided. This is huge, though. I mean, the economy is obviously on everyone's minds. The border, security, inflation. Eggs are like $10 a carton. So, I mean, everything she's saying is absolutely true, yet it's still, nothing has changed in the past 3.5, almost 4 years she and Biden have been in office. So hopefully people see through this hypocrisy, because this is the definition of the Democrat Party. Hypocrites. That's what they
Yeah.
are.
Oh gosh, I'm waiting and waiting to see more and more people realise this. Look, I'm looking forward to see Donald Trump debate Kamala Harris. It's certainly going to be better than debating Joe Biden. Donald Trump revealed this week that he had, in his words, reached an agreement with the radical left Democrats for a debate with comrade Kamala Harris on ABC News. He said that the rules will be the same as the last CNN debate, which seemed to work out well for everyone except for perhaps crooked Joe Biden. What are you expecting will come from this debate?
I mean, I'm planning to play a drinking game, to be honest, while watching this, because how many times does Kamala give us a word salad and just left like, huh?
Yeah.
What? Wait, what did you just say? Here's the thing, though, is that I do think that they are prepping her, and I'm not quite sure if Trump is prepping as hard as she is. I do think he's going to take this, though. I really, truly do, because he's a beast. And we've seen her when she goes off the cuff and she really just doesn't make sense. And so I think he's going to go hard. I hope he's practicing, because I'm pretty much 99.9% sure that they have her, they're going to give it her all in this debate, but I cannot wait. This debate is going to be huge for the American people in deciding for those undecided voters. And so this is a big night for Trump to really, really take the home run here and do well. If he doesn't do well, it's not going to look good for him. So I think it's going to come down to this debate. This is a really big deal, and I just hope that ABC News keeps it unbiased. I'm not convinced that they won't, but let's see. Hopefully the rules will apply, and we'll have a good debate, because this is what America is all about, and let's see what happens.
It is certainly going to be crucial, and good luck for your drinking game, because as we know, Kamala Harris will make some gaffes when she goes off script, but we'll wait and see. Look, things are moving quickly on the campaign trail. Just in the last week, we saw RFK Jr. drop out to endorse Donald Trump, and then we saw just a few days later, former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard come out to say why she's no longer supporting the Democrats and is endorsing Donald Trump. Why are we seeing this? Why are we seeing this trend? We're seeing more and more prominent Democrats rejecting the party.
I think because, the far left liberal movement, they have basically hijacked the Democrat Party. So I think we're seeing more and more Democrats leaning. I look at it this way, and I don't consider myself a far right conservative at all, but I think that the Republican Party over the years, they have moved closer to being more moderates, where the Democrat Party has moved closer to being left-wing loony nut jobs. So, that's the biggest difference that we're seeing right now. And I really do think that the Democrat Party is not what my parents, even though my parents were never Democrats, but it's not what it used to be. It's now this far left liberal gender identity party. And I think a lot of people are frustrated. And so that's why we're seeing more and more Democrats. I have a feeling that we're going to see even more based off these two joining forces with Donald Trump.
I think you're right, and in every way. Finally, I said this in my editorial, but US President Joe Biden has jetted off to the beach in Delaware after enjoying several days in California's wine country. Brittany, I suppose this is to be expected. Everyone already looks at him as if he's retired, as if he's just an old grandpa that we need to be nice to when he doesn't make any sense. But how embarrassing is this for America?
Well, who's running our country?
Yeah, great question.
It's the national threat to our country. We know that millions of people, millions of illegal immigrants have been allowed in. We know that some of those have been terrorists. What an opportune time right now, God forbid, to have a terrorist attack on our soil when literally our president is out to lunch. So I don't know who's running this country. You have Kamala campaigning, you have President Biden right there, and people blowing him kisses. And, a man his age should be doing this, at this point in his condition, he should be doing this, but he is the president of the United States of America. And there's a lot happening right now. There's a lot going on. And I just question our national security at this point.
Brittany Hopper, independent journalist, joining us from Florida. Thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour.
Thank you so much for having me.